Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul from New York. You might have started seeing me a couple minutes ago, but I was just told that it might have been turned sideways, so we thought we'd start over again. But the reason I'm here today is, first of all, to answer your questions, and one of them may be, what is a lieutenant governor? Well, that is the person who's number 2 in the state. In New York, we have a governor, Andrew Cuomo, and I'm the Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. So my job is to do all the interesting things around the state, and one of them is to get a chance to talk to you and read you this amazing book. Now, why are we reading books to you today? First of all, many of you would normally be in school, right? Well, I know it's a crazy time. You're like, why aren't I in school yet? What's happened? What's going on? What's this coronavirus? Are people getting sick? Am I going to get sick? I know there's a lot of confusion out there. And you know what? You're in good hands. Whether you're with a caregiver or with one of your parents, you know, they care about you deeply, and I know your teachers are trying so hard to keep you learning during this time. And one of the best ways you can keep your brain active and to keep your brain so involved and keep getting smarter is to read books. Now, if you're old enough to read by yourself, you should be getting as many books as you can and just eating them like food. And you should be absorbing as many books and stories as you can. It's kind of fun. If you're a little bit younger and you need someone to read to you, or you just want to flip through the pictures, that's okay, as long as you're doing something that keeps your brain active during this time. And you know, I know it's tough for you, it's hard on your families, but you know what, someday you're going to talk about the crazy time when you weren't able to go to school. But right now, let's get started with a really fascinating book. There's someone known as Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor. Now look her up if you're old enough, you want to check on her. She's one of the 9 really important judges who work in our Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. And so this is a story written by her. This really important judge wrote a book herself. And what this book is about is talking about when she, Sonia Sotomayor, was a little girl and she had some problems she had to deal with her health. And so she wrote a book to talk about not just her health problems, but all these other kids who had to deal with different kinds of challenges. So let's find out what she's talking about. And her book is called Just Ask. And I think that's a picture of her when she was just a little girl. Now she's all grown up. So let's start with this. Hi, I'm Sonia. My friends and I are planting a garden. Gardens are magical places. Thousands of plants bloom together, but every flower, every berry, and every leaf is different. Each has a different smell, a different color, a different shape, a different purpose. Some flowers need lots of sunlight, others thrive in the shade. Some have to be trimmed, while others are like to be left alone. Some flowers and trees are more fragile, and others are more hardy. Do any of you have a garden at home? Well, I remember when my mom started a gnome garden. She had this little garden outside, and she had these little gnome creatures that the kids would go visit and see them. And my sister Sheila started a fairy garden. This is amazing to see what my sister Sheila did. And the little kids used to love going and checking on the fairies hiding behind the rocks. So gardens really are magical places. Kids are all different too, just like all the flowers and trees in a garden, which are so different. Kids are really different too, aren't they? Some of us are in a hurry, some like to take our time, some of us are a little more shy and quiet, and that's okay, but others are real chatty and loud. They used to call me Chatty Kathy when I was a little girl because I used to talk a lot, so it's kind of funny that I'm in this job now. I get a chance to talk even as a grown-up. Some of our differences are easy to spot. Others take longer to notice. Each of us grows in our own way. And if you're ever curious about some other kids, just ask them. Just ask them what's going on. So here they are leaving this wonderful garden. Let's see where the kids are going. Look at this cute bunny rabbit. Kind of looks like the Easter bunny, right? Not everyone is comfortable answering questions about themselves, but I don't mind. Because when she was a little girl, look at this. Look at this. She's got a needle in her. Did you ever see anybody do that? She said, when I was a little girl, several times a day she had to prick her finger and prick her arm to measure the blood to find out how much sugar was in the blood. And she gave herself shots of insulin, which is a medicine that helped her stay alive because she had diabetes. And her body didn't make insulin, which is really important, like other people's. Even though it sometimes hurt, she would just gather up all her courage and do it because it was important that she stay healthy. So here she is doing this. So other kids would probably look at that and say, wonder what she's doing. Do you ever need to take a medicine to be healthy? Wonder what that would be. Everybody's different. Everybody has to deal with different things. Well, I do. My name is Raphael, and I have asthma, which means sometimes I have trouble breathing. Do any of you have asthma? Or sometimes you have trouble breathing and you just don't know why? When that happens, I take a break and I use an inhaler, medicine that helps me feel better and breathe easier. Quiet times helps me slow down and catch my breath. My inhaler is like a tool to help my body. Do any of you use a tool to help your body? There's all different kinds. Look how fun this is to paint rocks. This little birdie up here watching. I'm Anthony, and I use a wheelchair to get around. Even though I can't run with my legs, I can go super fast. Look at Anthony down here. With all his friends, he's beating them. Look like they're all trying to catch up with Anthony, but he's really fast. He must have strong arms, right? How do you get from place to place? Well, my name is Madison, and my guide dog Lucky helps me get places safely because I'm blind. When you're blind, it means you can't see, right? My friend Arturo is blind too. He uses a cane to get around. Even though we can't see, we strengthen our other senses, and we notice all kinds of details that others may miss. We can hear with our ears, and smell with our noses, and feel with our hands. So there's other ways to kind of understand what's going around the world, even if you're not able to see them, right? That's really interesting. How do you use your senses? I'm BJ, and I learn about the world differently because I can see, but I can't hear because I'm deaf. Most of the time I communicate using my face and my hands through sign language. It's cool to know another language. Maybe all of you should learn how to do sign language while you're home away from school during this time. Wouldn't that be interesting to know? I also love reading and writing. What about you? See all the kids just playing outside? They're just having a great time, aren't they? I'm Bianca, and I have dyslexia, so I have to work really hard and take my time when I'm reading and writing words. Sometimes I use computers to help me, and I love learning by doing things. My imagination is so full of ideas, and I'm very good at making art from the pictures that I see in my mind. Everybody's got different things going on, right? But look how she's doing it. She's got a really strong imagination, and she likes to draw pictures. Do all of you like to make pictures too with pencils or pens or crayons? Are you really good at something? For me, my listening comes more easily than talking. I'm a really good listener. My name is Ant, and I speak with a stutter. So sometimes I repeat a word or get stuck when I try to say it. It may take me a little bit longer, and sometimes I'm a little too shy to talk, but I understand everything that's going on. So sometimes you're with someone who's got a little stutter, a little harder to talk. That's okay, just be patient. You know, they still want to be able to communicate with you. Do you ever wonder if people understand you? Do you ever think about that? I wonder if they're just wondering, what's up with me? Do you think they understand you? I do. My name is Julia. Sometimes I wiggle or make sounds I can't control because I have something called Tourette's syndrome. People look at me funny because they think I'm not paying attention or I'm just acting out. But it's not true. I'm still listening. I don't always like having to explain. It frustrates me. But it helps when I tell people that's just what my body does. So she's smart. She's telling other kids what's going on so they understand why she acts the way she does, right? Do you ever feel frustrated? You know what I'm talking about. My name is Manuel, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's also called ADHD. Have you ever heard of that? Some of the older kids may have heard of that. I can get frustrated when I really feel the need to move around, even though I'm supposed to sit still. Sometimes for some kids it's just so hard, especially in a classroom when they tell you to sit still and your brain's all active and you want to jump around. And you know what? When my teachers and friends are patient with me if I forget something or get distracted, I can help get myself back on track to help calm down a little bit. So see how different all these kids are? What's helpful to you? Look at the kids, like they're planting seeds here. All the little animals out here, and they're planting the flowers. I love to sing and I love to talk. I love to make new friends and be included. I am Grace. I was born with Down syndrome. Kids like me with Down syndrome have an extra building block called a chromosome in their bodies. But we are all different from each other too. I can do almost anything any other kid can do, but sometimes it takes a little while to learn new things. One way I learn is to ask questions. What helps you learn? Do you all ask a lot of questions when you're in school? When your teacher says, do you have any questions? Do you put up your hand and answer? Or when you're at home talking to your parents? Asking questions is a really good way to learn, because you don't have to sit there and say, wonder why this is going on. Ask somebody. Look at that little bird holding a flower. Isn't that cute? Hi, it's me, it's Sonia again. I ask questions too. When something seems different or new, I just ask my parents or my teachers, and they help me to understand, especially if my friends don't really want to explain. This is what I've learned. Imagine if all the plants in this garden, we talked about the garden at the very beginning of the story, remember? Imagine if all the plants were exactly the same. Like, what if we could only grow peas? I think that'd be boring if we only had peas. That would mean no strawberries or cucumbers or carrots. It would also mean no trees or roses or sunflowers. That wouldn't be very exciting, wouldn't it? That'd be boring. Just like in our garden, all the ways we are different make our neighborhood, our whole world, really more interesting and fun. And just like all these plants, each of us has unique powers to share with the world and make it more interesting and richer. Look at all these kids have been playing together. Each one has something different they deal with, but they talked about it in the story, and they're just finding different ways to adapt, right? What will you do with your superpowers? And that's the end of this wonderful story written by Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, who's from New York. It's called Just Ask. I hope you learned something from this story, especially when you see children in your classroom, in your neighborhood, or even in your own family who seem like they're doing something differently than you do. Remember, they're like flowers in a garden. We don't want everybody to be the same. That would be boring. This is what makes life so exciting. So remember, during this time when you're home from school and things seem really different and uncertain, the adults are taking good care of you. Everything's going to be okay. But the best thing you can do is to read. Thank you.